Have you ever noticed how humans have this remarkable ability to find comfort in chaos? In a universe filled with advanced civilizations and sophisticated beings, we humans stand out, not for our technology, but for our inexplicable talent for turning disasters into something remarkably close to fun. This is a story about exactly that, about a time when humanity's most basic traits left an entire alien civilization questioning everything they thought they knew about crisis management. Before we dive into this fascinating tale of human ingenuity, I want to invite you to join our community of storytellers and listeners. If you enjoy stories about humanity's unique place in the universe, consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these remarkable tales. Let me take you to Proxima 7, a planet that orbits a distant star in what the Centauri considered to be their most advanced colonial system. The Centauri weren't just any alien civilization. They were the kind of species that had protocols for their protocols. Their technology was so advanced that most of their younger generation had never experienced what we humans would call technical difficulties. Their cities were marvels of engineering. Their weather control systems were precise down to the individual raindrop, and their society ran with the kind of efficiency that would make a Swiss watchmaker jealous. But the universe has a way of reminding us that no matter how advanced we become, chaos will always find a way to slip through the cracks. It started with what the Centauri initially classified as a minor atmospheric disturbance. Their weather control systems should have handled it easily, keyword being should. Instead, something went terribly wrong. The disturbance grew, feeding off their attempts to control it, until it evolved into something their centuries of careful planning had never accounted for. A perfect storm. Imagine, if you will, winds powerful enough to lift buildings, electromagnetic pulses that turned their advanced technology into expensive paperweights, and atmospheric pressure changes that made their state-of-the-art shelters groan like they were made of paper. The Centauri's response was exactly what you'd expect from a highly advanced, protocol-driven civilization. They panicked. Their emergency response teams deployed with their usual precision, armed with quantum computers, atmospheric stabilizers, and energy shields. But for the first time in their recorded history, nothing worked according to plan. Their equipment malfunctioned, their carefully crafted procedures proved useless, and their confidence crumbled faster than their failing shelter shields. That's when they sent out a general distress signal. They expected help from their neighboring systems, perhaps even from their ancient rivals, the Xylaxians, who had similar levels of technology. Instead, they got us, humans. Specifically, a 6-person emergency response team that had been doing training exercises one system over. Now, if you're enjoying the story so far, take a moment to hit that like button. It helps more people discover these tales of humanity's unique approach to the universe's challenges. The Centauri's first impression of their human rescuers wasn't exactly confidence-inspiring. The human ship was small, practically ancient by their standards, and looked like it had been patched up more times than they could count. But it was what happened next that really threw them for a loop. As the human team stepped out of their ship, the Centauri chief administrator, Zex 427, though the humans immediately nicknamed him Zach, watched in growing horror as they began unloading what appeared to be camping equipment. "Is this some kind of mistake?" Zach's translator crackled with barely contained panic. "We have a level 7 atmospheric disturbance. Our most advanced systems are failing. Our shelters are collapsing, and you bring primitive recreational equipment?" The human team leader, a weathered woman named Sarah Chen, just smiled as she supervised the unloading of what looked suspiciously like a Coleman camping stove. "Trust me," she said, "everything we brought has a purpose. Dave, get that coffee started, would you? We're going to need it." The Centauri watched in absolute bewilderment as the humans set up what looked less like an emergency response center and more like a well-organized campsite. They had tents, actual fabric tents, reinforced with something the humans kept calling duct tape. They set up portable heaters, laid out basic tools like hammers and wrenches, and perhaps most bafflingly of all, established a dedicated coffee station. "But what about the atmospheric stabilizers?" one of the Centauri engineers asked nervously. The quantum field generators? The particle dispersion arrays? Sarah Chen looked up from where she was hammering in a tent stake. Look, she said, sometimes the most advanced solution isn't the best solution. Right now, we need shelter that won't short out when the next electromagnetic pulse hits. We need communication tools that don't rely on your colony's power grid. And most importantly, we need to stay calm and think clearly, hence the coffee. If you're finding these insights into human problem-solving interesting, don't forget to subscribe. We share new stories about humanity's unique approach to the universe's challenges every week. The next few hours were a crash course in human adaptability for the watching Centauri. When their quantum positioning systems failed, the humans pulled out old-fashioned compasses. When those went haywire due to the magnetic storms, they switched to even more basic navigation, using the wind direction and visible landmarks. Every time their advanced technology failed, the humans had some seemingly primitive but effective backup plan. But what really confused the Centauri wasn't just the humans' reliance on basic technology, it was their attitude. As the storm raged around them, as debris flew through the air and emergency alerts blared, the humans maintained an almost casual demeanor. They worked efficiently, yes, but they also chatted. They told jokes. They took breaks to eat snacks and drink coffee. One particularly memorable moment came when a young Centauri scientist, watching the humans rig up a makeshift communications array using what appeared to be spare parts and more duct tape, finally burst out, "How can you be so relaxed? This is a catastrophe." Dave, the team's technical specialist, looked up from where he was securing a satellite dish with what appeared to be shoelaces and wire. "You know," he said, "I learned something important during my first emergency deployment. Panic is like a rocking chair, gives you something to do but doesn't get you anywhere." As the hours stretched on, the situation grew worse. The storm intensified, pushing even the humans' improvised solutions to their limits. The wind howled like a living thing, debris crashed against their shelters, and the electromagnetic pulses grew stronger. But instead of falling apart, the humans seemed to grow more determined, and somehow, even more relaxed. They set up a card table in their main shelter and started playing poker during their monitoring shifts. They rigged up a way to roast marshmallows on their camping stove. They even started teaching some of the younger Centauri engineers how to play something called Go Fish. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever found yourself making the best of a terrible situation? We'd love to hear your stories of turning disasters into memorable moments. Hour 18 brought what the Centauri thought would be the final blow. Their last backup power system failed, plunging the entire colony into darkness. But before panic could set in, the humans had already switched on battery-powered lanterns and emergency lights. Sarah Chen's voice came through the darkness, calm as ever. "Well, folks, looks like we're having a proper camping experience now. Who's up for ghost stories?" The Centauri couldn't believe it. Here they were, in what they considered a catastrophic emergency, and the humans were treating it like some kind of adventure holiday. But they couldn't argue with the results. Despite the complete failure of their advanced systems, despite the unprecedented severity of the storm, despite everything, they were surviving. More than that, they were maintaining order, and even a sense of, was that actually optimism? The storm's peak hit during hour 22. The winds reached speeds that should have torn their shelters apart, but the humans' seemingly primitive setup held. Their combination of basic materials and creative engineering proved more resilient than the Centauri's advanced technology. When it finally passed, not a single life had been lost. As the skies cleared and the emergency officially ended, the Centauri found themselves facing an unexpected philosophical crisis. Everything they thought they knew about emergency response, about the relationship between technological advancement and survival, about the very nature of crisis management. All of it had been challenged by 6 humans with camping gear and an inexplicable ability to treat disaster like an inconvenient picnic. The official report that followed this incident became something of a legend in Centauri emergency response circles. Among its formal recommendations was a complete overhaul of their emergency protocols, including such unprecedented suggestions as Maintain low-technology backup systems for all critical operations. Consider human approaches to crisis management, including the importance of maintaining morale through social interaction. Stock emergency supplies of human beverage, coffee, and tool duct tape. And perhaps most remarkably, remember that advanced technology, while valuable, is no substitute for adaptability and creative problem-solving. But perhaps the most important lesson the Centauri learned wasn't about technology or emergency procedures at all. It was about the remarkable human ability to find light in darkness, to create comfort in chaos, and to face disaster with a smile and a cup of coffee. If this story of human ingenuity and adaptability resonated with you, please take a moment to like and share it with others. Your support helps us continue sharing these unique perspectives on humanity's place in the universe. In the years that followed, the Centauri began including what they called human perspective training in their emergency response protocols. They never quite managed to master our casual approach to crisis management, but they did learn something valuable. Sometimes the most powerful technology isn't technology at all. It's the ability to look at impending doom and say, well, while we're here, might as well make ourselves comfortable. This is just another human story, reminding you that in a universe of advanced civilizations and incredible technology, sometimes the most remarkable trait is simply being human. Thank you for listening.